The legend of the Pope Lick Monster is tied to a very specific place. Pope Lick Trestle, a high railroad bridge spanning Pope Lick Creek near Fisherville on the outskirts of Louisville, Kentucky. The trestle stands roughly 80 to 90 feet above the creek bed, is narrow, with no pedestrian walkway, remains an active railroad line. This location is critical to understanding how the legend formed. The bridge has long been dangerous, isolated, and visually dramatic, the kind of place where stories take root. Origins of the legend, mid-20th century. Unlike older Appalachian cryptids rooted in colonial folklore, the Pope Lick Monster appears to be a 20th century urban legend, with most documented accounts emerging between the 1950s and 1970s. Early versions described a goat-man hybrid, a creature with horns and shaggy legs, sometimes human-faced, sometimes fully caprine, said to lurk beneath or atop the trestle. The legend does not appear in 19th century regional folklore collections, suggesting it likely evolved from more modern storytelling traditions rather than deep colonial myth. The goat-man motif. The Pope Lick monster fits into a broader American folklore pattern, the goat-man archetype. Similar legends appeared in Maryland, the Old Bowie Goatman, Texas, various rural Appalachian areas. These stories typically involve a half-man, half-goat creature, an isolated bridge or forest, teenagers daring one another to visit a fatal or near-fatal encounter. This pattern suggests cultural diffusion rather than a singular unexplained event. Reported abilities and variations over decades. The legend evolved. Different versions claimed the creature could mimic human voices, hypnotize victims, lure people onto the trestle, leap extraordinary distances, emit animal-like screams. Notably, these elements became more dramatic over time, a common feature in evolving oral folklore. Earlier versions were simpler. There's something strange that lives under the trestle. Later versions added supernatural powers. The dangerous reality of the trestle. The trestle itself is extremely hazardous. Key facts: trains travel at high speeds. There's no safe place to stand once a train approaches. The drop to the creek below is significant. Over the decades, multiple injuries and deaths have occurred at or near the trestle, primarily involving trespassers. These tragedies fueled the legend. When a fatality occurred, whispers followed. The monster got them. In reality, most cases were ruled accidental, often involving trespassing, poor visibility alcohol, misjudging train speed. But in folklore, tragedy rarely stays mundane. Media attention, late 20th century. By the 1980s and 1990s, the Pope Lick Monster had become entrenched in local legend. It gained local news coverage, paranormal investigator attention, inclusion in regional ghost tours, documentary segments. Each retelling reinforced its presence in public imagination. Importantly, law enforcement and park officials consistently maintained no verified creature sightings, no biological evidence, no unusual forensic findings, yet the legend persisted. Psychological and social factors. Several factors likely contributed to the legend's endurance. 1. The setting. The trestle is visually intimidating, tall, narrow, industrial, and isolated. Fear thrives in such spaces. 2. Teen folklore culture. Urban legends often function as rite of passage, dares, thrill-seeking adventures, shared storytelling experiences. The Pope Lick Monster became Louisville's version of a campfire test of courage. Misinterpretation at night, under poor lighting. Deer can appear humanoid, goats, or livestock can appear distorted. Shadows from the trestle structure create strange silhouettes. The human brain fills gaps with narrative. Law enforcement warnings. Authorities have repeatedly warned the public. The trestle is private railroad property. Trespassing is illegal. Trains cannot stop quickly. The bridge is not safe for pedestrians. Tragically, some deaths linked to trestle trespassing have reinforced the legend rather than diminished it. The monster becomes a cautionary symbol, a folkloric guardian of a dangerous place. Is there any evidence? To date, no verified biological remains, no credible photographic evidence, no official wildlife reports, no forensic anomalies tied to a creature. All available evidence supports the conclusion that the Pope Lick Monster is a modern urban legend anchored to a hazardous location.